Friends, Kris Krohn here, and today we are going to be diving deep into this world of multifamily versus single family. Which one's better? Which one's worse? Is one better than the other? We're about to find out. So multifamily, single family. Before I go into the pros and cons, I want to make sure you have some context for how these two beasts are really different from each other. First of all, single family is it's a home that is designed for one family occupancy, right? It's your basic everyday home that people live in, right? Multifamily is a commercial structure that is designed to house many people. So think condos, think apartments, right? Think of a complex where you maybe have 10 doors or 20 doors or 200 doors. There's a big difference between single family and multifamily. And now we're going to explore kind of the pros and cons of, is one better than the other, or are they just two very different investments depending on what you're trying to accomplish? Now, hands down, if someone were to go in the ring and actually represent single family homes, I'd probably be a pretty good candidate because I have done thousands of these homes. But if I were going to box someone in multifamily, it would probably be Grant Cardone, because he's done out there in multifamily, he's crushed it. And Grant's done some huge things. And so, today when we're talking about my strategy, Grant's strategy, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be fair, and I'm already going to tell you at the end that there is totally a place for multifamily, but we're going to find out really what that place is based on the pros and cons that we figure out right now. So in this corner, we've got single family, and in this corner, we've got multifamily, right? And across, we're going to take a look at what are the pros for both of these. And we're going to say, what are the cons for both of these? And let's start with, I want to compare three of the most important things in understanding, because first of all, you need to understand that between these two, one of them is an easier entry level. One of them is easier to get into than the other. And between the two of them, which one's easier? Well, pros, single family, we're going to put up here easy entry. What do I mean by that? I mean that, dude, if I wanted to qualify for a home to even move into, there are 3% or tiny percent down payments where I can get in for a few $1,000s and can control a $100,000 to $200,000 home. Or if I'm an investor and I'm not going to actually move into it, I'm going to put 20% down. But 20% on a $200,000 home is $40,000, okay? It is a doable amount of money that the average American can play with. But if you take a look at multifamily, I'm going to drop that as a con. It does not have an easy entry. I'm going to say it has a hard entry, which it means nothing more than it just takes a lot more money to get in this game. Here you can be talking about $5,000 to $40,000. Here you can be talking about hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. So for the new investor, single family is definitely going to be a really smart way to get involved. And this can be really intimidating, and you definitely don't want to screw that up as your first project. Okay, first point definitely goes to single family, and the second point I think is going to go to single family as well. At first it's going to look like I'm being pretty biased here, but don't worry. Grant Cardone, multifamily, he's got a shot. I want to talk about how easy it is to find deals. Do you know how many more single family homes there are than multifamily complexes? I mean, for every one of these, there's not very many of these, right? For hundreds of these, you have some of these. And so I'm also going to go so far as to say when it comes to the ease of finding a deal, one of the pros of single family is you can find many deals. And as I'm out there actually in the multifamily game, it's harder to find deals where the numbers actually really make sense. So I'm going to say fewer or less deals. But now we got to give it up for multifamily. I mean, multifamily definitely can do some things that single family cannot. For example, cash flow. If we take a look at multifamily, they are going to crush it in the space of a cash on cash return. So for example, here, I've seen all sorts of deals where you can pick up a 12 to 18% cash on cash return. But when it actually comes to single family, you're going to be picking up between 6 and 9% fully optimized. Now, if you compare these numbers, basically multifamily is about double than this right here. And if you think about it, you might have a lot of money and you're thinking, hey, I'm just interested in going into a cash flow play. And when you step into that, guess what you're now looking for? You're looking for accentuated cash flow. Every month I want more money. I'm basically saying your cash flow can be twice as big here as it can be here. So we're going to chalk that up as a huge win for multifamily, as opposed to a big con here for single family is it's capped on how much cash on cash it can really return. Now, don't confuse that with total ROI, because what I'm about to say is really important. In my experience, multifamily can deliver a 20 to 30% annual ROI. single family can also deliver a 20 to 30% annual ROI, which means in the long haul, they may be sixes. They may actually, Grant may not agree with this, but I'll tell you from my perspective, both of them are really great long-term investments. But if I'm getting less cash flow here, then I have more upside here. If I'm getting more cash flow here, I have less upside here, all things depending. They really are two very different beasts, but understand they both can perform really well long-term. One is just gonna pull ahead when it comes to the cash on cash, the cash flow that it can produce for you. And for that reason, we're actually going to say that when you look at single family and multifamily, they both actually do very well long-term. So they have really good long-term money. Technically, single family, in my opinion, is gonna be stronger on the long-term family. One more thing that single family has is you have some amazing liquidity here, because if I have $500,000, I can do 10 projects here. If I have $500,000, I can only do one project here. But where this has liquidity, do you know what you have over here? You have great stability. Meaning, if your house isn't rented out, you are earning nothing. If one of your units is not rented out, you're still probably earning very, very extraordinarily well if you're managing it appropriately. So these two beasts really are really different, but they both have a lot of strengths. And so I'm gonna call it a tie for today. I think they're both hyper useful. What I want you to know is that whether you have a little bit of money, that you need to be playing in the single family. If you're brand new, I recommend the single family. But if you feel like you've amassed some money and you're saying to yourself, I need more cash flow and I'm ready to step it up, then when you actually click the link and talk to a member of my team, I want you to let them know, what are your goals? What do you actually have to work with? If you got no money, I'm gonna be saying single family. If you've got some money, then we might actually have the conversation of multifamily. I'm doing some extraordinary deals there that have some incredible returns. And if you wanna actually take this knowledge and say, I'm ready to actually dive in the game and I actually wanna get like some hands-on, Kris, you've got inventory of both single family and multifamily. What's that about? Explain that for me. Let's light it up. All you gotta do is click the link in the description. I'm gonna break that down for you. We'll see you there.